Hi there, my name is Sydney Walker, and this is my reflective reading journal number 2. The first question begins with, throughout my academic career, I've taken multiple standardized tests like the ACT, the SAT. The scores taken from these tests were used to assess my ability to be successful in college. The first question is, do you believe that these tests are valid measures of future success? My honest opinion would be I don't think that they are because I myself am not a good tester. I get really anxious and I overthink things and can end up answering differently than I would if it was in a real life situation. So I may be able to apply something that I don't know the specific terms or specific reasons as to why I'm answering that way. I just know because I've done the education piece. So when it's on a test, it's easier to overthink versus actually applying it. How have the scores you made on these tests correlated with your success in college? I honestly don't think they made a big difference, and in my experience, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. My first university for my bachelor's was East Texas Baptist University, and their acceptance rate was really low. And I did not choose that school specifically because they were going to challenge me super hard academically. It was more that I knew I was going to get the balance between the spiritual and the education piece, and that was something that I found more valuable than sitting in a room full of 500 students and not being considered anybody. So the scores really didn't really change all that much, and I think that I did really well in school, and I didn't do amazing on the test, so it doesn't make a huge correlation. I think that in terms of if validity or reliability is more important, I would say validity was more important when it comes to tests, because reliability is important in terms of keeping it consistent, but I think validity, especially when we're assessing for things like depression or suicide or anxiety, these things we need to know if they're actually accurate and actually sharing and representing what that person is actually experiencing, because that's the whole point. We can come up with any sort of thing that can be accurate or can be reliable in the sense that there's always going to be an answer, but the answer may not actually correlate with what that person's experiencing. When looking at the Beck's depression inventory, there were several questions about this. There were several symptoms of depression like sadness, your weight gain or weight decreasing, feeling guilty, being disappointed in yourself, thoughts of suicide, crying more than usual, irritability. All of these are signs of depression. So it was very thorough in that aspect. I am not sure that it really assesses all that much for anxiety. I think a lot of those could go with anxiety, but I don't think that it's specifically focusing on anxiety. There's a few other questions that I would probably ask in terms of being in a situation that you can't get out of, or physical cues of feeling chest tightness and things like that. I don't know that it predicts anxiety as much as it would focus on depression. The items on the suicide risk assessment sufficiently cover the various aspects of suicidal ideation. I would not say that they do as much as they could. So in my profession, I work frequently with suicidality, and my clients are chronically suicidal, and we use something called the CSSRS assessment, and that has basically 3 standard questions. The first begins with, have you thought of going to sleep and not waking up? And then it graduates to, have you had any thoughts of actually killing yourself? And then the third is, have you made a plan to do this, and what is that plan? And so if They answer yes, no to those questions, and that helps us know where they're at and what next steps need to be taken. Those are basic questions, but they very much require us to go deeper, and we have to really ask, like, okay, you say you know how you would do something, but what does that actually look like? When you say, have you bought the things you need to do? Have you collected the items you need? Have you said goodbye to your loved ones? All of those things are not asked in a assessment. Those are things that are asked person to person in the therapeutic relationship. And then faith and spirituality, these can play a huge role in those who are suicidal. I work for a secular company, so I am not, and ethically, I'm not supposed to interject my own beliefs and my faith, but a lot of my people are very spiritual in whatever way that looks like, but they also have a large faith and belief system. And so a lot of times when we are assessing for suicidality and things of that nature, we're looking for, what is your reason to believe that you can live? Is there a reason? And if there is, what is it? And how do we keep that to be strong enough and to be something that's going to keep you here and to show you that you can live another day? And so oftentimes that is God and their beliefs of, God created me to be on this earth, and I don't know why, and oftentimes they don't understand, but their faith is something that grounds them. And I think that's important, because when someone is suicidal, they tend to have lost faith in everything. And so if they have someone there to remind them of the important things, then that really helps.